If democracy is to work in this country and around the world, DC must have the right to vote.
We will be the first black plurality state in the nation. Statehood win, statehood now!
The Congress has enslaved us. That's political slavery. We want to end that. Break the chains to the United States Congress. Break those chains.
Freedom vote! Freedom vote! Freedom vote!
De VS stelt 50 staten, dat is al een tijdje zo, maar misschien komt daar binnenkort een 51ste bij. Want Washington DC zou ook graag een staat worden. En dan denk je bij Washington misschien vooral aan grote overheidsgebouwen of grote monumenten. Maar Washington DC, dat is ook gewoon woonwijken zoals deze. Er wonen hier 700.000 mensen. Dat is meer dan in de staten Wyoming of Vermont. Maar in tegenstelling tot die twee is DC geen staat. En dat zorgt ervoor dat ze bijvoorbeeld geen 2 senatoren hebben daar in het Capitool. Ze hebben wel een afgevaardigde in het huis, maar die heeft dan geen volwaardig stemrecht. Kan niet meestemmen over uiteindelijke wetten. De burgers hier hebben dus geen inspraak, maar worden wel geregeerd door het congres. Why isn't DC a state?
In the colonial era, just after the American Revolution, there was a period in which revolutionary militia moved to attack the United States Congress. And so when they later, a few years later, wrote the Constitution, they made sure that the federal government would have sole authority over the district in order to better be able to protect the Congress.
Maar het gevolg was dat iedereen die in het district woont niet dezelfde rechten heeft als mensen die in een staat wonen.
For the last 200 years or so, members of the district have been subject to regulation by Congress instead of being able to make their own laws. And in addition to that, they actually don't have representation in that Congress, although they still do pay the highest per capita taxes in the United States.
Belastingen betalen zonder inspraak te hebben. Het doet een belletje rinkelen in Amerika.
The rallying cry of the American Revolution was no taxation without representation. And the great irony is that the framers of the Constitution from that revolutionary generation forgot to give representation to people who would live in the district. They thought there would be so few people in the federal district that the problem wouldn't really matter.
Maar het werd wel een probleem, want er wonen nu meer dan 700.000 mensen in het district. En de grote meerderheid daarvan pikt het niet meer geen volwaardige burgers te zijn.
How can we pay more money to the federal treasury than 20 other states? And people tell us that we can't be a state? No! It is DC time! It is statehood time!
We would control our own prison system. We would control our own health care. We would control our own education. We have control.
One of the big things that people don't know is that not only do we have no vote, but the Congress can overturn local laws here in the District of Columbia. So we really don't ultimately have control. 535 people from around the country that none of us voted for ultimately have the final decision on what our local laws are, how we spend our own money.
Ook steeds meer jonge mensen uit het district zetten zich tegenwoordig actief in om te vechten voor staatsrechten. Ty Hobson Powell is een van hen.
Being here and understanding that as a result of the zip code that I was born in, I'm not able to have the same rights as other Americans. It was something that definitely inspired me to want to advocate. For far too often, we have been held hostage in our own locale, unable to make decisions about the things that affect us the most.
En in sommige gevallen gaat het zelfs over zaken die levens kunnen kosten, zoals tijdens de huidige coronapandemie.
The CARES Act was something that was provided by the federal government to help relieve states and their citizens of the effects of COVID-19. Because DC wasn't a state, we missed out on hundreds of millions of dollars in the CARES Act relief that could have been used to help insulate some of the most underprotected populations here in Washington, D.C.
De vraag om staatsrechten klinkt al lang in DC, maar sinds kort lijkt er wat te bewegen. Niet toevallig nu de Democraten aan de macht zijn in het congres.
The House Committee has advanced a bill to make Washington, D.C. the 51st state.
The bill is passed.
Voting for D.C. statehood, the House of Representatives reaffirms this truth that all deserve a voice in our democracy.
The bill has only ever passed the House twice in history, both of them within the last 12 months. We've never had 46 senators in support of D.C. statehood before. That's the highest level in 220 years of trying. So I am excited.
Zelfs president Biden staat achter het idee.
He believes they deserve representation. That's why he supports DC statehood.
However, it will face a major hurdle in the U.S. Senate. It would need 60 votes to advance, which Democrats currently do not have.
En de Republikeinen die zijn niet echt gewonnen voor het idee. Want de 2 extra senatoren voor de staat DC zouden wellicht niet uit hun partij komen.
If you gave the vote to the District of Columbia, those voters in the district, most of whom are black or brown Americans, would probably vote instead for the Democratic Party, which would benefit the Democratic Party in the Senate and sort of balance out that upper chamber of Congress in ways that Republicans consistently don't want to see.
This is not about 2 votes for the Democrats. This is about votes for 700,000 plus residents who've been left out of a democracy that they surround. This is about us finally getting all of the rights to match our obligations that we've held for hundreds and hundreds of years as Washingtonians.
Stel nu dat het er toch van komt, dat Washington DC de 51ste staat van de VS wordt. Hoe zou dat er dan uitzien?
Effectively, what this new bill does is it shrinks the district down to an area of only a few square miles and grants the remaining land to a new state, Washington Douglas Commonwealth, Washington, D.C., and by doing so, circumvents the need to change the Constitution.
Dit kleine gebied hier, het grasveld, de monumenten, de federale gebouwen hier overal omheen, dat zou onder de hoede blijven van de federale overheid. Alles wat daar buiten ligt, wordt Washington Douglas Commonwealth, de 51ste staat van de Verenigde Staten.
Maar zover zijn we nog niet. Voor de voorstanders blijft het vooral aandacht vragen, actie voeren en harten winnen. Ook bij de jongere generatie.
When we saw a bunch of people take over the Capitol, we weren't able to protect ourselves because we're not a state. We had to ask for permission. And so when I say that we need DC statehood, it's important for some of the bigger issues as far as security, but it's important for the trivial shit. Like if you want to roll up a bamboo, if you want to just hang out right here, just be chilling without getting pressed out. When I say DC, y'all say statehood. DC? DC? We're hoping that now, when Democrats are empowered to affect change, that we actually do by making DC the 51st state, using our majorities in the House and the Senate to actually affect the change that we hope to see, instead of just talking about it. We're done with lip service. We want change in real time.